The Legacy Standard Bible, the Book of Isaiah, Chapter 1, the vision of Isaiah, the son of Amoz, concerning Judah and Jerusalem, which he beheld in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for Yahweh speaks. Sons I have reared and raised up, but they have transgressed against me. An ox knows its owner, and a donkey its master's manger, but Israel does not know. My people do not perceive. Alas, sinful nation, people heavy with iniquity, seed of evildoers, sons who act corruptly. They have forsaken Yahweh. They have spurned the Holy One of Israel. They have become estranged from him. Where will you be stricken again, as you continue in your rebellion? The whole head is sick, and the whole heart is faint. From the sole of the foot even to the head, there is nothing sound in it. Only bruises, wounds, and raw wounds, not pressed out, not bandaged, not softened with oil. Your land is desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. Your fields, strangers are devouring them in your presence. It is desolate, as overthrown by strangers. The daughter of Zion is left like a shelter in a vineyard, like a watchman's hut in a cucumber field, like a besieged city. Unless Yahweh of hosts had left us a few survivors, we would be like Sodom, we would be like Gomorrah. Hear the word of Yahweh, you rulers of Sodom. Give ear to the law of our God, you people of Gomorrah. What are your multiplied sacrifices to me, says Yahweh? I have had enough of burnt offerings of rams, and the fat of fed cattle, and in the blood of bulls, lambs, or goats I take no pleasure. When you come to appear before me, who requires of you this trampling of my courts? Bring your worthless offerings no longer. Incense is an abomination to me. New moon and Sabbath, the calling of convocation. I cannot endure wickedness and the solemn assembly. My soul hates your new moon festivals and your appointed times. They have become a burden to me. I am weary of bearing them. So when you spread out your hands in prayer, I will hide my eyes from you. Indeed, even though you multiply prayers, I will not listen. Your hands are full of blood. Wash yourselves. Purify yourselves. Remove the evil of your deeds from before my eyes. Cease to do evil. Learn to do good. Seek justice. Reprove the ruthless. Execute justice for the orphan. Plead for the widow. Come now, and let us reason together, says Yahweh. Though your sins are as scarlet, they will be as white as snow. Though they are red like crimson, they will be like wool. If you are willing and obey, you will eat the best of the land. But if you refuse and rebel, you will be eaten by the sword. For the mouth of Yahweh has spoken. How the faithful city has become a harlot, she who was full of justice. Righteousness once lodged in her, but now murderers. Your silver has become dross, your drink diluted with water. Your rulers are rebels and companions of thieves. Everyone loves a bribe and pursues rewards. They do not execute justice for the orphan, nor does the widow's plea come before them. Therefore the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, the mighty one of Israel, declares, Ah, I will be comforted concerning my adversaries, and I will avenge myself on my enemies. I will also turn my hand against you, and will smelt away your dross as with lye, and will remove all your alloy. Then I will have your judges return as at the first, and your counselors as at the beginning. Afterwards you will be called the city of righteousness, a faithful town. Zion will be redeemed with justice, and her repentant ones with righteousness. But transgressors and sinners will be broken together, and those who forsake Yahweh will come to an end. For you will be ashamed of the oaks which you have desired, and you will be humiliated because of the gardens which you have chosen. For you will be like an oak whose leaf withers away, or as a garden that has no water. And the strong man will become tinder, his work also a spark. Thus they shall both burn together, and there will be none to quench them. Isaiah chapter 2. The word which Isaiah the son of Amos beheld concerning Judah and Jerusalem. Now it will be that in the last days the mountain of the house of Yahweh will be established as the head of the mountains, and will be lifted up above the hills, and all the nations will stream to it. And many peoples will come and say, Come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the God of Jacob, that he may instruct us from his ways, and that we may walk in his paths. For from Zion the law will go forth, and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. And he will judge between the nations, and will render decisions for many peoples. And they will hammer their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will not lift up sword against nation, and never again will they learn war. Come, house of Jacob, and let us walk in the light of Yahweh. For you have abandoned your people, the house of Jacob, because they are filled with influences from the east, and they are soothsayers like the Philistines. And they strike bargains with the children of foreigners. Their land has also been filled with silver and gold, and there is no end to their treasures. Their land has also been filled with horses, and there is no end to their chariots. Their land has also been filled with idols. They worship the work of their hands, that which their fingers have made. So the common man has been bowed down, and the man of importance has been made low. But do not forgive them. Enter the rock and hide in the dust, from the dread of Yahweh and from the splendor of his majesty. The lofty look of man will be made low, and the men made high will be bowed down, and Yahweh alone will be exalted in that day. For Yahweh of hosts will have a day of reckoning against everyone who is proud and high, and against everyone who is lifted up, that he may be made low. And it will be against all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, against all the oaks of Bashan, against all the high mountains, against all the hills that are lifted up, against every lofty tower, against every fortified wall, against all the ships of Tarshish, and against all the desirable craft. The loftiness of man will be bowed down, and the men who are high will be made low, and Yahweh alone will be exalted in that day. But the idols will completely vanish. Men will go into caves of the rocks, and into holes of the ground, before the dread of Yahweh and the splendor of his majesty, when he arises to make the earth tremble. In that day men will cast away to the moles and the bats, their idols of silver and their idols of gold, which they made for themselves to worship, in order to go into the caverns of the rocks and the clefts of the cliffs, before the dread of Yahweh and the splendor of his majesty, when he arises to make the earth tremble. Stop regarding man, whose breath of life is in his nostrils, for why should he be esteemed? Isaiah chapter 3. For behold, the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, is going to remove from Jerusalem and Judah both supply and support, the whole supply of bread, and the whole supply of water, the mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet, the diviner and the elder, the commander of 50 and the highly respected man, the counselor and the wise craftsman, and the experienced enchanter. And I will make young men their princes, and capricious children will rule over them, and the people will be oppressed, each one by another, and each one by his neighbor. The youth will overwhelm the elder, and the dishonorable against the honorable. When a man grasps his brother in his father's house, saying, "You have a cloak, you shall be our ruler, and these ruins will be under your hand," he will protest on that day, saying, "I will not be your healer. For in my house there is neither bread nor cloak. You should not appoint me ruler of the people. For Jerusalem has stumbled and Judah has fallen, because their tongue and their deeds are against Yahweh, to rebel against his glorious presence. The expression of their faces answers against them, and they declare their sin like Sodom. They do not even conceal it. Woe to their soul, for they have dealt out evil on themselves. Say to the righteous that it will go well with them, for they will eat the fruit of their deeds. Woe to the wicked, it will go badly with him, for what he has dealt out will be done to him. O my people, their taskmasters are infants, and women rule over them. O my people, those who guide you lead you astray, and swallow up the way of your paths. Yahweh takes his stand to contend, and stands to judge the peoples. Yahweh enters into judgment with the elders of his people and his princes. It is you who have consumed the vineyard. The plunder robbed of the afflicted is in your houses. What do you mean by crushing my people and grinding the face of the afflicted? Declares Lord Yahweh of hosts. Moreover, Yahweh said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with outstretched necks and seductive eyes, and go along with mincing steps, and tinkle the bangles on their feet. Therefore the Lord will smite the skull of the daughters of Zion with scabs, and Yahweh will make their foreheads bare. In that day the Lord will remove the beauty of their anklets, headbands, crescent ornaments, dangling earrings, bracelets, veils, headdresses, ankle chains, sashes, perfume boxes, enchanted charms, finger rings, nose rings, festal robes, outer tunics, cloaks, money purses, hand mirrors, undergarments, turbans, and shawls. Now it will be that instead of sweet perfume there will be the smell of rot, instead of a belt, a rope, instead of well-set hair, a plucked-out scalp, instead of fine clothes, a donning of sackcloth, and branding instead of beauty. Your men will fall by the sword and your mighty ones in battle, and her gates will lament and mourn, and deserted she will sit on the ground. Isaiah chapter 4. And 7 women will take hold of one man in that day, saying, We will eat our own bread and wear our own clothes, only let us be called by your name. Take away our reproach. In that day the branch of Yahweh will be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth will be the pride and the honor of those of Israel who escape. It will be that he who remains in Zion and is left in Jerusalem will be called holy, everyone who is written down for life in Jerusalem. When the Lord has washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion, and rinsed away the bloodshed of Jerusalem from her midst, by the spirit of judgment and the spirit of burning, then Yahweh will create over the whole area of Mount Zion, and over her convocation, a cloud by day, even smoke, and the brightness of a flaming fire by night. For over all the glory will be a canopy. And there will be a booth to give shade from the heat by day, and refuge and a hiding place from the storm and the rain. Isaiah chapter 5. Let me sing now for my well-beloved, a song of my beloved concerning his vineyard. My well-beloved had a vineyard on a fertile hill. He dug it all around, removed its stones, and planted it with the choicest vine. And he built a tower in the middle of it, and also hewed out a wine vat in it. Then he hoped for it to produce good grapes, but it produced only worthless ones. So now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Judah, please judge between me and my vineyard. What more was there to do for my vineyard that I have not done in it? Why, when I hoped for it to produce good grapes, did it produce worthless ones? So now, let me tell you what I am going to do to my vineyard. I will remove its hedge, and it will be consumed. I will break down its wall, and it will become trampled ground. I will lay it waste. It will not be pruned or hoed, but briars and thorns will come up. I will also command the clouds to rain no rain on it. For the vineyard of Yahweh of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Judah his delightful plant. Thus he hoped for justice, but behold, bloodshed; for righteousness, but behold, a cry of distress. Woe to those who add house to house and join field to field, until there is no more room, so that you have to live alone in the midst of the land. In my ears Yahweh of hosts has sworn, surely many houses shall become desolate, even great and good ones, without inhabitants. For 10 acres of vineyard will yield only 1 bath of wine, and a homer of seed will yield but an ephah of grain. Woe to those who rise early in the morning that they may pursue strong drink, who stay up late in the evening that wine may inflame them. And their banquets are accompanied by lyre and harp, by tambourine and flute, and by wine. But they do not look upon the deeds of Yahweh, nor do they see the work of his hands. Therefore my people go into exile for their lack of knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude is parched with thirst. Therefore Sheol has enlarged its throat, and opened its mouth without limit. And Jerusalem's majesty, her multitude, her rumbling, and the exultant within her descend into it. So the common man will be bowed down, and the man of importance will be made low. The eyes of the lofty also will be made low. But Yahweh of hosts will be lofty in judgment, and the holy God will show himself holy in righteousness. Then the lambs will graze as in their pasture, and sojourners will eat in the waste places of the wealthy. Woe to those who drag iniquity with the cords of worthlessness, and sin as if with cart ropes, who say, Let him hurry, let him hasten his work, that we may see it. And let the counsel of the Holy One of Israel draw near and come to pass, that we may know it. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who substitute darkness for light and light for darkness, who substitute bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes, and understanding in their own sight. Woe to those who are mighty men in drinking wine, and valiant men in mixing strong drink, who declare the wicked righteous for a bribe, and remove the righteous standing of ones who are righteous. Therefore, as a tongue of fire consumes stubble, and dry grass collapses into the flame, so their root will become like rot, and their blossom blow away as dust. For they have rejected the law of Yahweh of hosts, and the word of the Holy One of Israel they have spurned. On this account the anger of Yahweh has burned against his people, and he has stretched out his hand against them and struck them down. And the mountains trembled, and their corpses lay like refuse in the middle of the streets. For all this his anger is not turned back, but his hand is still stretched out. He will also lift up a standard to the distant nations, and will whistle for it from the ends of the earth. And behold, it will come with speed swiftly. No one in it is weary or stumbles, none slumbers or sleeps, nor is the belt at its waist undone, nor its sandal strap broken. Its arrows are sharp, and all its bows are bent. The hoofs of its horses seem like flint, and its chariot wheels like a whirlwind. Its roaring is like a lioness, and its roars like a young lion's. It growls and seizes the prey, and carries it off with no one to deliver it. And it will growl over it in that day like the roaring of the sea. If one looks to the land, behold, there is darkness and distress. Even the light is darkened by its clouds. Isaiah chapter 6. In the year of King Uzziah's death, I saw the Lord sitting on a throne, high and lifted up, with the train of his robe filling the temple. Seraphim stood above him, each having 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one called out to another and said, Holy, holy, holy is Yahweh of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the foundations of the thresholds shook at the voice of him who called out, while the house of God was filling with smoke. Then I said, Woe is me, for I am ruined, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, Yahweh of hosts. Then one of the seraphim flew to me with a burning coal in his hand, which he had taken from the altar with tongs. And he touched my mouth with it, and said, Behold, this has touched your lips, and your iniquity is taken away, and your sin is atoned for. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then I said, Here I am, send me. And he said, Go and tell this people. Keep on hearing, but do not understand. Keep on seeing, but do not know. Render the hearts of this people insensitive, their ears dull, and their eyes dim, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their hearts, and return, and be healed. Then I said, Lord, how long? And he said, Until cities are devastated, and without inhabitant. Houses are without people, and the land is devastated to desolation. And Yahweh has removed men far away, and the forsaken places are many in the midst of the land. Yet there will be a 10th portion in it, and it will again be subject to burning, like a terebinth or like an oak, whose stump remains when it is felled. The holy seed is its stump. Isaiah chapter 7. Now it happened in the days of Ahaz, the son of Jotham, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, that Rezin, the king of Aram, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel, went up to Jerusalem to wage war against it, but could not conquer it. When it was told to the house of David, saying, The Arameans have camped in Ephraim, his heart and the hearts of his people shook as the trees of the forest shake before the wind. Then Yahweh said to Isaiah, Go out now to meet Ahaz, you and your son Shear-Jashub, at the end of the conduit of the upper pool, to the highway of the fuller's field, and say to him, Take care and stay quiet. Have no fear, and do not be faint-hearted because of these 2 stubs of smoldering firebrands, on account of the burning anger of Rezin and Aram, and the son of Remaliah, because Aram, with Ephraim and the son of Remaliah, has counseled evil against you, saying, Let us go up against Judah, and terrorize it, and make for ourselves a breach in its walls, and set up the son of Tabeel as king in the midst of it. Thus says Lord Yahweh, It shall not stand, nor shall it happen. For the head of Aram is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin. Now within another 65 years Ephraim will be shattered, so that it is no longer a people. And the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is the son of Remaliah. If you do not establish your faith in Yahweh, you surely shall not be established. Then Yahweh spoke again to Ahaz, saying, Ask a sign for yourself from Yahweh your God. make it deep as Sheol or high as heaven. But Ahaz said, I will not ask, and I will not test Yahweh. Then he said, Listen now, O house of David. Is it too slight a thing for you to try the patience of men, that you will try the patience of my God as well? Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the virgin will be with child and bear a son, and she will call his name Emmanuel. He will eat curds and honey in order that he will know to refuse evil and choose good. For before the boy will know to refuse evil and choose good, the land whose 2 kings you dread will be forsaken. Yahweh will bring on you, on your people, and on your father's house days which have never come since the day that Ephraim separated from Judah, the king of Assyria. And it will be in that day that Yahweh will whistle for the fly that is in the remotest part of the rivers of Egypt, and for the bee that is in the land of Assyria. And they will all come and rest upon the steep ravines, on the crevices of the cliffs, on all the thorn bushes, and on all the watering places. In that day the Lord will shave with a razor, one hired from regions beyond the river, that is, the king of Assyria, the head and the hair of the legs, and it will also remove the beard. And it will be in that day that a man may keep alive a heifer and a pair of sheep, and because of the abundance of the milk produced, he will eat curds, for everyone that is left within the land will eat curds and honey. And it will be in that day that every place where there used to be 1,000 vines, valued at 1,000 shekels of silver, will become briars and thorns. People will come there with bows and arrows, because all the land will be briars and thorns. As for all the hills which used to be cultivated with the hoe, you will not go there for fear of briars and thorns, but they will become a place for pasturing oxen and for sheep to trample. Isaiah chapter 8. Then Yahweh said to me, Take for yourself a large tablet and write on it in ordinary letters concerning Maher-Shalal-Hash-Baz. And I will take to myself faithful witnesses for testimony, Uriah the priest and Zechariah the son of Jeberechiah. Then I drew near to the prophetess, and she conceived and bore a son. Then Yahweh said to me, Call his name Maher-Shalal-Hash-Baz. For before the boy knows how to cry out, My father, or my mother, the wealth of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria will be carried away before the king of Assyria. Again Yahweh spoke to me further, saying, Inasmuch as these people have rejected the gently flowing waters of Shiloh, and rejoice in Rezin and the son of Remaliah, now therefore, behold, the Lord is about to bring on them the mighty and abundant waters of the river, the king of Assyria and all his glory. And it will rise up over all its channels and go over all its banks. Then it will sweep on into Judah. It will overflow and pass through. It will reach even to the neck, and the spread of its wings will fill the breadth of your land, O Emmanuel. Be broken, O peoples, and be shattered, and give ear, all remote places of the earth. Gird yourselves, yet be shattered. Gird yourselves, yet be shattered. Devise counsel, but it will be thwarted. Speak a word, but it will not stand, for God is with us. For thus Yahweh spoke to me with a strong hand and disciplined me not to walk in the way of this people, saying, You are not to say, It is a conspiracy, in regard to all that this people call a conspiracy. And you are not to fear what they fear, and you shall not tremble. It is Yahweh of hosts, whom you should regard as holy, and he shall be your fear, and he shall be your cause of trembling. Then he shall become a sanctuary, but to both the houses of Israel a stone to strike, and a rock to stumble over, and a snare and a trap for the inhabitants of Jerusalem. and many will stumble over them. Then they will fall and be broken. They will even be snared and caught. Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples, and I will wait for Yahweh, who is hiding his face from the house of Jacob, and I will hope for him. Behold, I and the children whom Yahweh has given me are for signs and wonders in Israel from Yahweh of hosts, who dwells on Mount Zion. Now when they say to you, Inquire of the mediums and the spiritists who whisper and mutter, should not a people inquire of their God? Should they inquire of the dead on behalf of the living? To the law and to the testimony. If they do not speak according to this word, it is because they have no dawn. And they will pass through the land hard-pressed and hungry. And it will be that when they are hungry, they will be angry and curse their king and their God as they face upward. Then they will look to the earth, and behold distress and darkness, the gloom of anguish, and they will be banished into thick darkness. Isaiah chapter 9. But there will be no more gloom for her who was in anguish. In earlier times he treated the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali with contempt. But later on he shall make it glorious, by the way of the sea, on the other side of Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles. The people who walk in darkness will see a great light. Those who live in the land of the shadow of death, the light will shine on them. You shall multiply the nation, you shall make great their gladness. They will be glad in your presence, as with the gladness of harvest, as men rejoice when they divide the spoil. For you shall shatter the yoke of their burden and the staff on their shoulders, the rod of their taskmaster, as at the battle of Midian. For every boot of the booted warrior in the rumbling of battle, and cloak rolled in blood, will be for burning, fuel for the fire. For a child will be born to us, a son will be given to us, and the government will rest on his shoulders. And his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Eternal Father, Prince of Peace. There will be no end to the increase of his government or of peace on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it with justice and righteousness from then on and forevermore. The zeal of Yahweh of hosts will accomplish this. The Lord sends a message against Jacob, and it falls on Israel, and all the people know it, that is, Ephraim and the inhabitants of Samaria, saying in lofty pride and in arrogance of heart, The bricks have fallen down, but we will rebuild with cut stones. The sycamores have been cut in pieces, but we will replace them with cedars. Therefore Yahweh exalts against them adversaries from Rezin, and incites their enemies, the Arameans on the east and the Philistines on the west, and they devour Israel with gaping jaws. In spite of all this, his anger does not turn back, and his hand is still stretched out. Yet the people do not turn back to him who struck them, nor do they seek Yahweh of hosts. So Yahweh cuts off head and tail from Israel, both palm branch and bulrush, in a single day. The head is the elder and the highly respected man, and the prophet who teaches falsehood is the tail. For those who guide this people are leading them astray, and those who are guided by them are brought to confusion. Therefore the Lord is not glad in their choice men, nor does he have compassion on their orphans or their widows. For every one of them is godless and an evildoer, and every mouth is speaking wicked foolishness. In spite of all this, his anger does not turn back, and his hand is still stretched out. For wickedness burns like a fire, it consumes briars and thorns, it even sets the thickets of the forest aflame, and they roll upward in a column of smoke. By the fury of Yahweh of hosts, the land is burned up, and the people are like fuel for the fire. No man spares his brother. They slice off what is on the right hand, but still are hungry. And they eat what is on the left hand, but they are not satisfied. Each of them eats the flesh of his own arm. Manasseh devours Ephraim, and Ephraim Manasseh, and together they are against Judah. In spite of all this, his anger does not turn back, and his hand is still stretched out. Isaiah chapter 10. Woe to those who enact evil statutes, and to those who constantly record mischief, so as to turn the poor away from their cause, and rob the afflicted of my people of their justice, so that widows may be their spoil, and that they may plunder the orphans. Now what will you do in the day of visitation, and in the devastation which will come from afar? To whom will you flee for help, and where will you leave your glory? Nothing remains but to crouch among the captives, or fall among those killed. In spite of all this, his anger does not turn back, and his hand is still stretched out. Woe to Assyria, the rod of my anger, and the staff in whose hands is my indignation. I send it against a godless nation, and command it against the people of my fury, to capture spoil and to seize plunder, and to trample them down like mud in the streets. But it does not intend to act in this way, and it does not think in its heart in this way. Rather, what is in its heart is to destroy, and to cut off many nations. For it says, Are not my princes all kings? Is not Calno like Carchemish, or Hamath like Arpad, or Samaria like Damascus? As my hand has reached to the kingdoms of the idols, whose graven images were greater than those of Jerusalem and Samaria, shall I not do to Jerusalem and her images just as I have done to Samaria and her idols? So it will be that when the Lord has completed all his work on Mount Zion and on Jerusalem, he will say, I will punish the fruit of the arrogant heart of the king of Assyria, and the pomp of his eyes which are raised high. For he has said, By the power of my hand and by my wisdom I did this, for I have understanding, and I removed the boundaries of the peoples, and plundered their treasures, and like a mighty man I brought down their inhabitants, and my hand reached for the wealth of the peoples like a nest. And as one gathers abandoned eggs, I gathered all the earth, and there was not one that flapped its wing, or opened its beak, or chirped. Is the axe to boast itself over the one who chops with it? Is the saw to magnify itself over the one who wields it? That would be like a rod wielding those who lift it, or like a staff lifting him who is not wood. Therefore the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, will send a wasting disease among his stout warriors, and under his glory a fire will be kindled like a burning flame, and the light of Israel will become a fire, and his Holy One a flame. And it will burn and devour his thorns and his briars in a single day. And he will bring to an end the glory of his forest and of his fruitful orchard, both soul and body. And it will be as when a sick man wastes away. And the rest of the trees of his forest will be so small in number that a child could write them down. Now it will be in that day that the remnant of Israel and those of the house of Jacob who have escaped will never again rely on the one who struck them, but will truly rely on Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel. A remnant will return, the remnant of Jacob, to the mighty God. For though your people, O Israel, may be like the sand of the sea, only a remnant within them will return. A destructive end is decreed, overflowing with righteousness. For a complete destruction, one that is decreed, Lord Yahweh of hosts will do in the midst of the whole land. Therefore thus says Lord Yahweh of hosts, O my people who inhabit Zion, do not fear the Assyrian who strikes you with a rod and lifts up his staff against you, the way Egypt did. For in a very little while my indignation against you will end, and my anger will be directed to their destruction. And Yahweh of hosts will waken a scourge against him like the slaughter of Midian at the rock of Oreb. And his staff will be over the sea, and he will lift it up the way he did in Egypt. So it will be in that day that his burden will be removed from your shoulders, and his yoke from your neck, and the yoke will be broken because of fatness. He has come against Aiath. He has passed through Migron. At Michmash he deposited his baggage. They have gone through the pass, saying, Geba will be our lodging place. Ramah trembles, and Gibeah of Saul has fled away. Cry aloud with your voice, O daughter of Gallim. Pay attention, Lisha, and afflicted Anathoth. Madmenah has fled. The inhabitants of Gebim have sought refuge, yet today he will stand at Nob. He shakes his fist at the mountain of the daughter of Zion, the hill of Jerusalem. Behold, the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, will lop off the boughs with a terrible crash. Those also who are high in stature will be cut in pieces, and those who are lofty will be made low. He will cut down the thickets of the forest with an iron axe, and Lebanon will fall by the mighty one. Isaiah chapter 11. Then a shoot will spring from the stem of Jesse, and a branch from his roots will bear fruit. The Spirit of Yahweh will rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of Yahweh. And he will delight in the fear of Yahweh, and he will not judge by what his eyes see, nor render a decision by what his ears hear. But with righteousness he will judge the poor, and decide with uprightness for the afflicted of the earth. And he will strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he will put the wicked to death. Also righteousness will be the belt about his loins, and faithfulness the belt about his waist. And the wolf will dwell with the lamb, and the leopard will lie down with the young goat, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a young boy will lead them. Also the cow and the bear will graze. Their young will lie down together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox. And the nursing baby will play by the hole of the cobra, and the weaned child will put his hand on the viper's den. They will do no evil nor act corruptly in all my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of Yahweh, as the waters cover the sea. Then it will be in that day that the nations will seek the root of Jesse, who will stand as a standard for the peoples, and his resting place will be glorious. Then it will be in that day that the Lord will again acquire the second time with his hand the remnant of his people, who will remain from Assyria, Egypt, Pathros, Ethiopia, Elam, Shinar, Hamath, and from the coastlands of the sea. And he will lift up a standard for the nations, and assemble the banished ones of Israel, and will gather the scattered of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Then the jealousy of Ephraim will depart, and those who assail Judah will be cut off. Ephraim will not be jealous of Judah, and Judah will not assail Ephraim. And they will swoop down on the slopes of the Philistines on the west. Together they will plunder the sons of the east. They will stretch out their hands over Edom and Moab, and the sons of Ammon will obey them. And Yahweh will devote to destruction the tongue of the sea of Egypt. And he will wave his hand over the river with his scorching wind, and he will strike it into 7 streams, and make men walk over dry shod. And there will be a highway from Assyria for the remnant of his people who will remain, just as there was for Israel, in the day that they came up out of the land of Egypt. Isaiah chapter 12. Then you will say in that day, I will give thanks to you, O Yahweh, for although you were angry with me, your anger is turned away, and you comfort me. Behold, God is my salvation. I will trust and not dread. For Yahweh himself, is my strength and song, and he has become my salvation. Therefore you will joyously draw water from the springs of salvation, and in that day you will say, Give thanks to Yahweh, call on his name, make known his deeds among the peoples. Make them remember that his name is exalted. Praise Yahweh in song, for he has done majestic things. Let this be known throughout the earth. Cry aloud and shout for joy, O inhabitant of Zion, for great in your midst is the Holy One of Israel. Isaiah chapter 13. The oracle concerning Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amoz beheld. Lift up a standard on the bare hill. Heighten your voice at them. Wave the hand that they may enter the doors of the nobles. I have commanded my set-apart ones. I have even called my mighty warriors, my proudly exulting ones, to execute my anger. A sound of tumult on the mountains, like that of many people, a sound of the rumbling of kingdoms, of nations gathered together. Yahweh of hosts is mustering the host for battle. They are coming from a far country, from the end of the sky. Yahweh and his instruments of indignation, to wreak destruction on the whole land. Wail, for the day of Yahweh is near. It will come as destruction from the Almighty. Therefore all hands will fall limp, and every man's heart will melt. They will be terrified. Pains and labor pangs will take hold of them. They will writhe like a woman in labor. They will look at one another in astonishment, their faces aflame. Behold, the day of Yahweh is coming, cruel, with fury and burning anger, to make the land a desolation, and he will exterminate its sinners from it. For the stars of heaven and their constellations will not flash forth their light. The sun will be dark when it rises, and the moon will not shed its light. Thus I will punish the world for its evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. I will also put an end to the pride of the arrogant, and bring low the lofty pride of the ruthless. I will make mortal man scarcer than fine gold, and mankind than the gold of Ophir. Therefore I will make the heavens tremble, and the earth will be shaken from its place at the fury of Yahweh of hosts, in the day of his burning anger. And it will be that like a hunted gazelle, or like sheep with none to gather them, they will each turn to his own people, and each one flee to his own land. Anyone who is found will be pierced through, and anyone who is captured will fall by the sword. Their infants also will be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses will be plundered, and their wives ravished. Behold, I am going to awaken the Medes against them, who will not think about silver or take pleasure in gold. And their bows will dash the young men to pieces. They will not even have compassion on the fruit of the womb, nor will their eye pity children. And it will be that Babylon, the beauty of kingdoms, the honor of the Chaldeans' pride, will be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It will never be inhabited or dwelt in from generation to generation, nor will the Arab pitch his tent there, nor will shepherds make their flocks lie down there. But desert creatures will lie down there, and their houses will be full of owls. Ostriches also will dwell there, and shaggy goats will leap there. And hyenas will howl in their fortified towers, and jackals in their luxurious palaces. Her fateful time also will soon come, and her days will not be prolonged. Isaiah chapter 14. When Yahweh will have compassion on Jacob and again choose Israel and put them in their own land, then sojourners will join them and attach themselves to the house of Jacob. And the peoples will take them along and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel will possess them as an inheritance in the land of Yahweh for their male and female slaves. And they will take their captives captive, and will have dominion over their taskmasters. And it will be in the day when Yahweh gives you rest from your pain and turmoil and harsh slavery in which you have been enslaved, that you will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon and say, How the taskmaster has ceased, and how fury has ceased. Yahweh has broken the staff of the wicked, the scepter of rulers, which used to strike the peoples in fury with unceasing strokes, which had dominion over the nations in anger with unrestrained persecution. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into shouts of joy. Even the cypress trees are glad over you, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, Since you were laid low, no tree cutter comes up against us. Sheol from beneath trembles excitedly over you to meet you when you come. It wakens for you the spirits of the dead, all the leaders of the earth. It raises all the kings of the nations from their thrones. They will all answer and say to you, Even you have been made weak as we. You have become like us. Your pride and the music of your harps have been brought down to Sheol. Maggots are spread out as your bed beneath you, and worms are your covering. How you have fallen from heaven, O star of the morning, son of the dawn. You have been cut down to the earth, you who have weakened the nations. But you said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven, I will raise my throne above the stars of God, and I will sit on the mount of assembly in the recesses of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will make myself like the Most High. Nevertheless, you will be brought down to Sheol, to the recesses of the pit. Those who see you will gaze at you. They will carefully consider you, saying, Is this the man who made the earth tremble, who caused kingdoms to quake, who made the world like a wilderness, and pulled down its cities, who did not allow his prisoners to go home? All the kings of the nations lie in glory, each in his own place. But you have been cast out of your grave, like an abhorred branch, clothed with those killed who are pierced with a sword, who go down to the stones of the pit like a trampled corpse. You will not be united with them in burial, because you have ruined your country, you have killed your people. May the seed of evildoers not be called upon forever. Prepare for his sons a place of slaughter, because of the iniquity of their fathers. They must not arise and take possession of the earth, and fill the face of the world with cities. I will rise up against them, declares Yahweh of hosts, and will cut off from Babylon name and remnant, offspring and posterity, declares Yahweh. I will also make it a possession for the hedgehog and swamps of water, and will sweep it with the broom of destruction, declares Yahweh of hosts. Yahweh of hosts has sworn, saying, Surely just as I have intended, so it has happened, and just as I have counseled, so it will stand, to break Assyria in my land, and will trod him down on my mountains. Then his yoke will be removed from them, and his burden removed from their shoulder. This is the counsel that is counseled against the whole earth, and this is the hand that is stretched out against all the nations. For Yahweh of hosts has counseled, and who can thwart it? As for his stretched out hand, who can turn it back? In the year that King Ahaz died, this oracle came. Do not be glad, O Philistia, all of you, because the rod that struck you is broken. For from the serpent's root a viper will come out, and its fruit will be a flying fiery serpent. And the foremost of the poor will eat, and the needy will lie down in security. I will put to death your root with famine, and it will kill off your remnant. Wail, O gate! Cry, O city! Melt away, O Philistia, all of you, for smoke comes from the north, and there is no straggler in his ranks. How then will one answer the messengers of the nation, that Yahweh has founded Zion, and the afflicted of his people will take refuge in it? Isaiah chapter 15. The oracle concerning Moab. Surely in a night Ar of Moab is destroyed and ruined. Surely in a night Kir of Moab is destroyed and ruined. They have gone up to the temple and to Dibon, even to the high places to weep. Moab wails over Nebo and Medeba. Everyone's head is bald, and every beard is cut off. In their streets they have girded themselves with sackcloth. On their rooftops and in their squares everyone is wailing, dissolved in weeping. Heshbon and Elealeh also cry out. Their voice is heard all the way to Jahaz. Therefore the armed men of Moab make a loud shout. His soul trembles within him. My heart cries out for Moab. Those who flee from her are as far as Zoar and Eglath-Shelishiah. For they go up the ascent of Luhith weeping. Surely on the road of Horonaim they keep awake with crying in distress over their destruction. For the waters of Nimrim are desolate. Surely the grass is dried up. The tender grass has completely ceased. There is no green thing. Therefore the abundance they have made and stored up they carry off over the brook of Arabim. For the cry has gone around the territory of Moab. Its wailing goes as far as Eglaim, and its wailing even to Beer Elim. For the waters of Dimon are full of blood. Surely I will put added woes upon Dimon, a lion upon those of Moab who have escaped, and upon the remnant of the land. Isaiah chapter 16. Send the tribute lamb to the ruler of the land, from Selah by way of the wilderness to the mountain of the daughter of Zion. Then, like fleeing birds or scattered nestlings, the daughters of Moab will be at the fords of the Arnon. Bring us counsel, make a decision, cast your shadow like night at high noon. Hide those banished, do not reveal the one who flees. Let the banished of Moab sojourn with you. Be a hiding place to them from the destroyer. For the extortioner has come to an end. Destruction has ceased. Oppressors have completely disappeared from the land, and a throne will be established in loving kindness. And a judge will sit on it in truth in the tent of David. Moreover, he will seek justice, and be prompt in righteousness. We have heard of the pride of Moab, an excessive pride, even of his lofty pride, pride and fury. His idle boasts are false. Therefore Moab will wail, every one of Moab will wail. You will moan for the raisin cakes of Kir Hareseth, as those who are utterly stricken. For the fields of Heshbon have languished, the vines of Sibmah as well. The lords of the nations have trampled down its choice clusters, which reached as far as Jazer and wandered to the deserts. Its tendrils spread themselves out and passed over the sea. Therefore I will weep bitterly for Jazer, for the vine of Sibmah. I will drench you with my tears, O Heshbon and Elealeh. For the shouting over your summer fruits and your harvest has fallen away. Gladness and joy are taken away from the fruitful orchard. In the vineyards also there will be no cries of joy or shouts of jubilation. No treader treads out wine in the presses, for I have made the shouting to cease. Therefore my inner being moans like a harp for Moab, and my inward feelings for Kir Hareseth. So it will be when Moab appears, when he wearies himself upon his high place, and comes to his sanctuary to pray, that he will not prevail. This is the word which Yahweh spoke earlier concerning Moab. But now Yahweh speaks, saying, Within 3 years, as a hired man would count them, the glory of Moab will be dishonored along with all his great population, and his remnant will be very small and not mighty. Isaiah chapter 17. The oracle concerning Damascus. Behold, Damascus is about to be removed from being a city, and will become a fallen ruin. The cities of Aroer are forsaken, they will be for flocks, and they will lie down in them, and there will be no one to cause them to tremble. And the fortified city will cease from Ephraim, and sovereignty from Damascus, and the remnant of Aram. They will be like the glory of the sons of Israel, declares Yahweh of hosts. Now it will be in that day that the glory of Jacob will wane, and the fatness of his flesh will become lean. And it will be even like the reaper gathering the standing grain, as his arm harvests the ears of grain. Or it will be like one gleaning ears of grain in the valley of Rephaim. Yet gleanings will remain in it like the shaking of an olive tree, 2 or 3 olives on the topmost branch, 4 or 5 on the twigs of a fruitful tree, declares Yahweh, the God of Israel. In that day man will have regard for his Maker, and his eyes will look to the Holy One of Israel. He will not have regard for the altars, the work of his hands, nor will he look to that which his fingers have made, even the Asherim and incense stands. In that day their strong cities will be like forsaken places in the forest, or like branches which they forsook before the sons of Israel. And the land will be a desolation, for you have forgotten the God of your salvation, and have not remembered the rock of your strong defense. Therefore you plant delightful plants, and set them with vine branches of a strange god. In that day you plant it, you carefully fence it in, and in the morning you cause your seed to flourish. But the harvest will be a heap, in a day of sickliness and incurable pain. Alas, the uproar of many peoples, who roar like the roaring of the seas, and the rumbling of nations, who rumble on like the rumbling of mighty waters. The nations rumble on like the rumbling of many waters, but he will rebuke them, and they will flee far away, and be pursued like chaff in the mountains before the wind, or like whirling dust before a whirlwind. At evening time, behold, there is terror. Before morning they are no more. Such will be the portion of those who pillage us, and the lot of those who plunder us. Isaiah chapter 18. Alas, O land of whirring wings, which lies beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, which sends envoys by the sea, even in papyrus vessels on the surface of the waters. Go swift, messengers, to a nation tall and smooth, to a people feared far and wide, a powerful and oppressive nation whose land the rivers divide. All you inhabitants of the world and dwellers on earth, as soon as a standard is raised on the mountains you will see it, and as soon as the trumpet is blown you will hear it. For thus Yahweh has told me, I will look from my dwelling place quietly, like dazzling heat in the sunshine, like a cloud of dew in the heat of harvest. For before the harvest, as soon as the bud blossoms, and the flower becomes a ripening grape, then he will cut off the sprigs with pruning knives, and remove and cut away the spreading branches. They will be left together for mountain birds of prey, and for the beasts of the earth. And the birds of prey will spend the summer feeding on them, and all the beasts of the earth will spend harvest time on them. At that time a gift of homage will be brought to Yahweh of hosts, from a people tall and smooth, even from a people feared far and wide, a powerful and oppressive nation, whose land the rivers divide. to the place of the name of Yahweh of hosts, even Mount Zion. Isaiah chapter 19. The oracle concerning Egypt. Behold, Yahweh is riding on a swift cloud, and is about to come to Egypt. The idols of Egypt will shake at his presence, and the heart of the Egyptians will melt within them. So I will incite Egyptians against Egyptians, and they will each fight against his brother and each against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. Then the spirit of the Egyptians will be emptied to destruction within them, and I will confuse their counsel, so that they will seek idols and ghosts of the dead, and to mediums and spiritists. Moreover, I will deliver the Egyptians into the hand of a cruel master, and a strong king will rule over them, declares the Lord, Yahweh of hosts. The waters from the sea will dry up, and the river will be parched and dry. The rivers will emit a stench. The streams of Egypt will thin out and dry up. The reeds and rushes will rot away. The bulrushes by the Nile, by the edge of the Nile, and all the sown fields by the Nile will become dry, be driven away, and be no more. And the fishermen will lament, and all those who cast a line into the Nile will mourn, and those who spread nets on the waters will languish. Moreover, the manufacturers of linen made from combed flax, and the weavers of white cloth will be ashamed. And the pillars of Egypt will be crushed. All the hired laborers will be grieved in soul. The princes of Zoan are merely ignorant fools. The counsel of Pharaoh's wisest counselors has become senseless. How can you men say to Pharaoh, I am a son of the wise, a son of the kings of old? Well then, where are your wise men? Please let them tell you, and let them understand what Yahweh of hosts has counseled against Egypt. The princes of Zoan have acted as ignorant fools. The princes of Memphis are deluded. Those who are the cornerstone of her tribes have led Egypt astray. Yahweh has mixed within her a spirit of distortion. They have led Egypt astray in all that it does, as a drunken man strays into his vomit. There will be no work for Egypt, which its head or tail, its palm branch or bulrush may do. In that day the Egyptians will become like women, and they will tremble and be in dread because of the waving of the hand of Yahweh of hosts, which he is going to wave over them. And the land of Judah will become a terror to Egypt. Everyone to whom it is mentioned will be in dread of it because of the counsel of Yahweh of hosts, which he is counseling against them. In that day 5 cities in the land of Egypt will be speaking the language of Canaan, and swearing allegiance to Yahweh of hosts. One will be called the city of destruction. In that day there will be an altar to Yahweh in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar to Yahweh near its border. And it will become a sign and a witness to Yahweh of hosts in the land of Egypt. For they will cry to Yahweh because of oppressors, and he will send them a Savior and a champion, and he will deliver them. Thus Yahweh will make himself known to Egypt, and the Egyptians will know Yahweh in that day. They will even worship with sacrifice and offering, and they will make a vow to Yahweh and pay it. And Yahweh will smite Egypt, smiting but healing. So they will return to Yahweh, and he will be moved by their entreaty, and will heal them. In that day there will be a highway from Egypt to Assyria, and the Assyrians will come into Egypt, and the Egyptians into Assyria, and the Egyptians will worship with the Assyrians. In that day Israel will be the third party with Egypt and Assyria, a blessing in the midst of the earth, whom Yahweh of hosts has blessed, saying, Blessed is Egypt my people, and Assyria the work of my hands, and Israel my inheritance. Isaiah chapter 20. In the year that the commander came to Ashdod, When Sargon, the king of Assyria, sent him, and he fought against Ashdod and captured it, at that time Yahweh spoke by the hand of Isaiah the son of Amoz, saying, Go and loosen the sackcloth from your hips, and take your shoes off your feet. And he did so, going naked and barefoot. And Yahweh said, Even as my servant Isaiah has gone naked and barefoot 3 years as a sign and wonder against Egypt and Ethiopia, so the king of Assyria will lead away the captives of Egypt and the exiles of Ethiopia, young and old, naked and barefoot with buttocks uncovered, to the shame of Egypt. Then they will be dismayed and ashamed because of Ethiopia their hope, and Egypt their boast. So the inhabitants of this coastland will say in that day, Behold, such is our hope, where we fled for help to be delivered from the king of Assyria, and we, how shall we escape? Isaiah chapter 21. The oracle concerning the wilderness of the sea. As whirlwinds in the Negev sweep on, it comes from the wilderness, from a fearsome land. A harsh vision has been declared to me. The treacherous one still deals treacherously, and the destroyer still destroys. Go up, Elam, lay siege, Media. I have made an end of all the groanings she has caused. For this reason my loins are full of anguish. Pains have seized me like the pains of a woman in labor. I am so bewildered I cannot hear, so terrified I cannot see. My heart reels. Horror terrorizes me. The twilight I longed for has been turned for me into trembling. They set the table, they spread out the cloth, they eat, they drink. Rise up, commanders, oil the shields. For thus the Lord says to me, Go, station the lookout, let him declare what he sees. Indeed, he shall see riders, horsemen in pairs, riders of donkeys, riders of camels. So let him pay close attention, very close attention. Then the lookout called, O Lord, I stand continually by day on the watchtower, and I am stationed every night at my guard post. Now behold, here comes a troop of riders, horsemen in pairs. And one answered and said, Fallen, fallen is Babylon, and all the graven images of her gods are shattered on the ground. O my trampled people and my afflicted of the threshing floor, what have I heard from Yahweh of hosts, the God of Israel, I have declared to you. The oracle concerning Duma. One keeps calling to me from Seir, Watchman, how far gone is the night? Watchman, how far gone is the night? The watchman says, Morning comes, but also night. If you would inquire, inquire. Come back again. The oracle about Arabia. In the thickets of Arabia you must spend the night, O caravans of Dedanites. Bring water to meet the thirsty, O inhabitants of the land of Tema. Meet with bread the one who has fled, for they have fled from the swords, from the drawn sword, and from the bent bow, and from the heaviness of battle. For thus the Lord said to me, In a year, as a hired man would count it, all the glory of Kedar will end, and the remainder of the number of bowmen, the mighty men of the sons of Kedar, will be few, for Yahweh, the God of Israel, has spoken. Isaiah chapter 22. The oracle concerning the valley of vision. What is the matter with you now, that you have all gone up to the housetops? You who were full of noise, you roaring city, you exultant town, your slain were not slain with the sword, nor did they die in battle. All your rulers have fled together, and have been captured without the bow. All of you who were found were captured together, though they had fled far away. Therefore I say, Turn your gaze away from me, let me weep bitterly. Do not insist on comforting me concerning the destruction of the daughter of my people. For Lord Yahweh of hosts has a day of confusion, oppression, and panic in the valley of vision, a breaking down of walls, and a crying to the mountain. Now Elam took up the quiver, with the chariots, infantry, and horsemen, and Ker uncovered the shield. Then your choicest valleys were full of chariots, and the horsemen took up fixed positions at the gate. And he revealed the defense of Judah. In that day you looked to the weapons of the house of the forest, and you saw that the breaches in the wall of the city of David were many, and you collected the waters of the lower pool. Then you counted the houses of Jerusalem and tore down houses to fortify the wall, and you made a reservoir between the two walls for the waters of the old pool. But you did not look to him who made it, nor did you see him who formed it long ago. Therefore, in that day Lord Yahweh of hosts called you to weeping, to wailing, to shaving the head, and to wearing sackcloth. Instead, behold, there is joy and gladness, killing of cattle and slaughtering of sheep, eating of meat and drinking of wine. Let us eat and drink, for tomorrow we may die. But Yahweh of hosts revealed himself in my ears. Surely this iniquity shall not be atoned for you until you die, says Lord Yahweh of hosts. Thus says Lord Yahweh of hosts, Come, go to this steward, to Shebna, who is in charge of the royal household. What right do you have here, and whom do you have here, that you have hewn a tomb for yourself here, you who hew a tomb on the height, you who carve a dwelling place for yourself in the cliff? Behold, Yahweh is about to hurl you headlong, O man, and he is about to grasp you firmly, and he will surely roll you tightly like a ball, to be cast into a vast country. There you will die, and there your glorious chariots will be, you disgrace of your master's house. I will push you out of your office, and I will pull you down from your station. Then it will be in that day that I will summon my servant Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, and I will clothe him with your tunic, and tie your sash securely about him. I will give your authority into his hand, and he will become a father to the inhabitants of Jerusalem and to the house of Judah. Then I will set the key of the house of David on his shoulder. When he opens, no one will shut. When he shuts, no one will open. I will drive him like a peg in a firm place, and he will become a throne of glory to his father's house. So they will hang on him all the glory of his father's house, offspring and issue, all the least of vessels, from bowls to all the jars. In that day, declares Yahweh of hosts, the peg driven in a firm place will give way, it will even break off and fall, and the load hanging on it will be cut off, for Yahweh has spoken. Isaiah chapter 23. The oracle concerning Tyre. Wail, O ships of Tarshish, for Tyre is destroyed without house or harbor. It is revealed to them from the land of Cyprus. Be silent, you inhabitants of the coastland, you merchants of Sidon. Your messengers crossed the sea, and were on many waters. The grain of Shihor, the harvest of the Nile, was her revenue, and she was the nation's gain. Be ashamed, O Sidon, for the sea speaks, the strong defense of the sea, saying, I have neither travailed nor given birth. I have neither brought up choice men nor reared virgins. When the report reaches Egypt, they will be in travail at the report of Tyre. Pass over to Tarshish. Wail, O inhabitants of the coastland. Is this your exultant city, whose origin is from days of old, whose feet used to lead her to sojourn in distant places? Who has counseled this against Tyre, the bestower of crowns, whose merchants were princes, whose traders were the honored of the earth? Yahweh of hosts has counseled it, to defile the pride of all beauty, to make contemptuous all the honored of the earth. Overflow your land like the Nile, O daughter of Tarshish. There is no more restraint. He has stretched his hand out over the sea. He has made the kingdoms tremble. Yahweh has given a command concerning Canaan to demolish its strong defenses. So he said, You shall exult no more, O crushed virgin daughter of Sidon. Arise, pass over to Cyprus, even there you will find no rest. Behold, the land of the Chaldeans, this is the people which was not. Assyria established it for desert creatures. They erected their siege towers, they stripped its palaces, they made it a ruin. Wail, O ships of Tarshish, for your strong defense is destroyed. Now it will be in that day that Tyre will be forgotten for 70 years, like the days of one king. At the end of 70 years it will happen to Tyre as in the song of the harlot. Take your harp, walk about the city, O forgotten harlot. Pluck the strings skillfully, sing many songs, that you may be remembered. And it will be at the end of 70 years that Yahweh will visit Tyre. Then she will go back to her harlot's wages, and will play the harlot with all the kingdoms on the face of the earth. And her gain and her harlot's wages will be set apart to Yahweh. It will not be treasured up or hoarded, but her gain will become sufficient food and choice attire for those who inhabit the presence of Yahweh. Isaiah chapter 24. Behold, Yahweh empties the earth to destruction, eviscerates it, distorts its surface, and scatters its inhabitants. And the people will be like the priest, the male slave like his master, the female slave like her mistress, the buyer like the seller, the lender like the borrower, the creditor like the debtor. The earth will be completely emptied to destruction and completely plundered, for Yahweh has spoken this word. The earth mourns and withers, the world languishes and withers, the exalted of the people of earth languish. The earth is also polluted by its inhabitants, for they trespassed laws, violated statutes, broke the everlasting covenant. Therefore a curse devours the earth, and those who inhabit it are held guilty. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men remain. The new wine mourns, the vine languishes, all the glad of heart sigh. The joy of tambourines ceases, the rumbling of those exulting stops, the joy of the harp ceases. They do not drink wine with song. Strong drink is bitter to those who drink it. The city of chaos is broken down. Every house is shut up so that none may enter. There is an outcry in the streets concerning the wine. All gladness turns to gloom. The joy of the earth is taken away into exile. Desolation remains in the city, and the gate is struck down to ruins. For thus it will be in the midst of the earth among the peoples, as the shaking of an olive tree, as the gleanings when the grape harvest is over. They lift up their voices, they shout for joy, they cry out from the west concerning the majesty of Yahweh. Therefore glorify Yahweh in the east, the name of Yahweh, the God of Israel, in the coastlands of the sea. From the ends of the earth we hear songs, glory to the righteous one. But I say, I waste away, woe is me. The treacherous deal treacherously, and the treacherous deal very treacherously. Panic and pit and pitfall are upon you, O inhabitant of the earth. Then it will be that he who flees the sound of panic will fall into the pit, and he who climbs out of the pit will be caught in the pitfall. For the windows above are opened, and the foundations of the earth quake. The earth is broken asunder, the earth is split through, the earth is shaken violently. The earth reels to and fro like a drunkard, and it totters like a shack, for its transgression is heavy upon it, and it will fall, never to rise again. So it will be in that day that Yahweh will punish the host of heights on high, and the kings of the earth on earth. They will be gathered together like prisoners in the pit, and will be confined in prison, and after many days they will be punished. Then the moon will be humiliated, and the sun ashamed, For Yahweh of hosts will reign on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, and his glory will be before his elders. Isaiah chapter 25. O Yahweh, you are my God. I will exalt you. I will give thanks to your name, for you have worked wonders. Counsels formed long ago with perfect faithfulness. For you have made a city into a heap, a fortified town into a ruin. A palace of strangers is a city no more. It will never be rebuilt. Therefore a strong people will glorify you. Towns of ruthless nations will fear you. For you have been a strong defense for the poor, a strong defense for the needy in his distress, a refuge from the storm, a shade from the heat. For the breath of the ruthless is like a rainstorm against a wall. Like heat in a dry land, you subdue the rumbling of strangers. Like heat by the shadow of a cloud, the song of the ruthless is silenced. And Yahweh of hosts will prepare a lavish banquet for all peoples on this mountain, a banquet of aged wine, choice pieces with marrow, and refined aged wine. And on this mountain he will swallow up the covering which is over all peoples, even the veil which is stretched over all nations. He will swallow up death for all time, and Lord Yahweh will wipe tears away from all faces, and he will remove the reproach of his people from all the earth, for Yahweh has spoken. And it will be said in that day, Behold, this is our God in whom we have hoped that he would save us. This is Yahweh in whom we have hoped. Let us rejoice and be glad in his salvation. For the hand of Yahweh will rest on this mountain, and Moab will be trodden down in his place, as straw is trodden down in the water of a manure pile. And he will spread out his hands in the middle of it, as a swimmer spreads out his hands to swim. But Yahweh will lay low his lofty pride together with the trickery of his hands. The unassailable fortifications of your walls he will bring down, lay low, and cast to the ground, even to the dust. Isaiah chapter 26. In that day this song will be sung in the land of Judah. We have a strong city. He sets up walls and ramparts for salvation. Open the gates, that the righteous nation may enter, the one that keeps faithfulness. The steadfast of mind you will keep in perfect peace, because he trusts in you. Trust in Yahweh forever, for in Yahweh himself, we have an everlasting rock. For he has laid low those who settle on high, the exalted city. He brings it low. He brings it low to the ground. He casts it to the dust. The foot will trample it, the feet of the afflicted, the steps of the poor. The way of the righteous is upright. O upright one, make the path of the righteous level. Indeed, while following the way of your judgments, O Yahweh, we have hoped for you eagerly. Your name, the memory of you, is the desire of our souls. At night my soul longs for you. Indeed, my spirit within me seeks you earnestly. For when the earth experiences your judgments, the inhabitants of the world learn righteousness. Though the wicked is shown favor, he does not learn righteousness. He deals unjustly in the land of uprightness, and does not perceive the majesty of Yahweh. O Yahweh, your hand is raised up high, yet they do not behold it. They behold your zeal for the people, and are put to shame. Indeed, fire will devour your adversaries. Yahweh, you will establish peace for us, since you have also performed for us all our works. O Yahweh our God, other masters besides you have ruled us, but through you alone we bring your name to remembrance. The dead will not live, the departed spirits will not rise. Therefore You have visited and destroyed them, and you have made all remembrance of them perish. You have increased the nation, O Yahweh. You have increased the nation. You are glorified. You have extended all the borders of the land. O Yahweh, they visited you in distress. They could only whisper a prayer. Your chastening was upon them. As the woman with child draws near to the time to give birth, she writhes and cries out in her pangs of labor. Thus were we before you, O Yahweh. We were with child. We writhed in labor. We gave birth, as it seems, only to wind. We could not accomplish salvation for the earth, and the inhabitants of the world were not born. Your dead will live, their corpses will rise. You who dwell in the dust, awake and shout for joy, for your dew is as the dew of the dawn, and the earth will give birth to the departed spirits. Come, my people, enter into your rooms, and close your doors behind you. Hide for a little while, until indignation passes by. For behold, Yahweh is about to come out from his place, to visit the iniquity of the inhabitants of the earth, and the earth will reveal her bloodshed, and will no longer cover those of hers who were killed. Isaiah chapter 27. In that day Yahweh will punish Leviathan, the fleeing serpent, with his fierce and great and mighty sword, even Leviathan, the twisted serpent, and he will kill the dragon who lives in the sea. In that day, a vineyard of delight, sing of it. I, Yahweh, am its keeper. I water it every moment. Lest anyone damage it, I keep it night and day. I have no wrath. Who would ever give me briars and thorns in the battle? I would step on them, I would burn them completely. Or let him rely on my strong defense. Let him make peace with me. Let him make peace with me. In the days to come Jacob will take root. Israel will blossom and bud, and they will fill the whole world with produce. Like the striking of him who has struck them, has he struck them? Or like the slaughter of those of his who were killed, have they been killed? You contended with them by driving them away, by making them forlorn. With his fierce wind he has expelled them on the day of the east wind. Therefore, through this, Jacob's iniquity will be atoned for, and this will be the whole fruit of the turning away of his sin. When he makes all the altar stones like pulverized chalk stones, when Asherim and incense altars will not stand, for the fortified city is isolated, a haunt forlorn and forsaken like the desert. There the calf will graze, and there it will lie down and feed on its twigs. When its limbs are dry, they are broken off. Women come and light a fire with them, for they are not a people of discernment. Therefore their Maker will not have compassion on them, and their Creator will not be gracious to them. And it will be in that day that Yahweh will start his threshing from the flowing stream of the river to the brook of Egypt, and you will be gathered up one by one, O sons of Israel. And it will be in that day that a great trumpet will be blown, and those who were perishing in the land of Assyria and who were banished in the land of Egypt will come and worship Yahweh in the holy mountain at Jerusalem. Isaiah chapter 28. Woe to the proud crown of the drunkards of Ephraim, and to the fading flower of its glorious beauty, which is at the head of the fertile valley, of those who are overcome with wine. Behold, the Lord has a strong and courageous agent, as a storm of hail, a tempest of destruction, like a storm of mighty overflowing waters. He has set it down to the earth with his hand. The proud crown of the drunkards of Ephraim is trodden under foot, and the fading flower of its glorious beauty, which is at the head of the fertile valley, will be like the first ripe fig prior to summer, which one sees, and as soon as it is in his hand, he swallows it. In that day Yahweh of hosts will become a beautiful crown and a glorious diadem to the remnant of his people, a spirit of just judgment for him who sits in judgment, a might to those who turn back the onslaught at the gate. And these also reel with wine and stagger from strong drink. The priest and the prophet reel with strong drink. They are swallowed up by wine, they stagger from strong drink. They reel while having visions. They totter when rendering a verdict. For all the tables are full of filthy vomit, without a single clean place. Whom would he instruct in knowledge, and whom would he provide understanding about the report? Those just weaned from milk? Those just taken from the breast? For he says, order on order, order on order, line on line, line on line, a little here, a little there. Indeed, he will speak to his people through stammering lips and a foreign tongue. He who said to them, here is rest, give rest to the weary, and here is repose. But they would not listen. So the word of Yahweh to them will be order on order, order on order, line on line, line on line, a little here, a little there, that they may go and stumble backward, be broken, snared, and taken captive. Therefore hear the word of Yahweh, O scoffers, who rule this people who are in Jerusalem. Because you have said, we have cut a covenant with death, and with Sheol we have made a pact. The overflowing scourge will not reach us when it passes by. For we have made falsehood our refuge, and we have hidden ourselves with lying. Therefore thus says Lord Yahweh, behold, I am laying in Zion a stone, a tested stone, a costly cornerstone for the foundation, firmly placed. He who believes in it will not be disturbed. I will make justice the measuring line, and righteousness the level. Then hail will sweep away the refuge of falsehood, and the waters will overflow the secret place. Your covenant with death will be cancelled, and your pact with Sheol will not stand. When the overflowing scourge passes through, then you will become its trampling place. As often as it passes through, it will take you, for morning after morning it will pass through, any time during the day or night. And it will be sheer terror to understand the report. The bed is too short on which to stretch out, and the blanket is too narrow to wrap oneself in. For Yahweh will rise up as at Mount Perazim. He will be stirred up as in the valley of Gibeon, to work, his unusual work, and to labor in his labor, his exceptional labor. So now do not carry on as scoffers, lest your fetters be made stronger, for I have heard from Lord Yahweh of hosts, of complete destruction, one that is decreed on all the earth. Give ear and hear my voice. Pay attention and hear my words. Does the farmer plow continually to plant seed? Does he continually turn and harrow his ground? Does he not level its surface, and sow dill and scatter cumin, and plant wheat in rows, barley in its place, and rye within its area? For his God disciplines and teaches him proper judgment. For dill is not threshed with a threshing sledge, nor is the wheel of a cart driven over cumin. But dill is beaten out with a staff, and cumin with a rod. Grain for bread is crushed, but he does not continue to thresh it forever, because the wheel of his cart and his horses eventually disturb it. He does not crush it longer. This also comes from Yahweh of hosts, who has made his counsel wonderful and his wisdom great. Isaiah chapter 29. Woe, O Ariel, Ariel, the city where David once camped! Add year to year, observe your feasts on schedule. I will bring distress to Ariel, And she will be a city of mourning and moaning, and she will be like an Ariel to me. And I will camp against you, encircling you, and I will fortify siege works against you, and I will raise up fortifications against you. Then you will be brought low. From the earth you will speak, and from the dust where you are prostrate, your words will come. Your voice will also be like that of a spirit from the ground, and your speech will whisper from the dust. But it will be that the multitude of your enemies will become like fine dust, and the multitude of the ruthless ones like the chaff which blows away. And it will happen instantly, suddenly. From Yahweh of hosts you will be punished with thunder and earthquake and loud noise, with whirlwind and tempest, and the flame of a consuming fire. And it will be that the multitude of all the nations who wage war against Ariel, even all who wage war against her and her stronghold, and who distress her, will be like a dream, a vision of the night. And it will be as when a hungry man dreams, and behold, he is eating, but he awakens, and his soul is empty. Or as when a thirsty man dreams, and behold, he is drinking, but when he awakens, and behold, he is faint, and his soul is not quenched. Thus the multitude of all the nations will be who wage war against Mount Zion. Astonish yourselves and be astonished. Blind yourselves and be blind. They become drunk, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. For Yahweh has poured over you a spirit of deep sleep. He has shut your eyes, the prophets, and he has covered your heads, the seers. The entire vision will be to you like the words of a sealed book, which, when they give it to the one who is literate, saying, "Please read this," he will say, "I cannot, for it is sealed." Then the book will be given to the one who does not know how to read a book, saying, "Please read this," and he will say, "I do not know how to read a book." Then the Lord said, "Because this people draw near with their mouth, and honor me with their lips, but they remove their hearts from me, and their fear of me is in the command of men learned by rote. Therefore, behold, I will once again deal marvelously with this people, wondrously marvelous. And the wisdom of their wise men will perish, and the discernment of their discerning men will be hidden. Woe to those who deeply hide their counsel from Yahweh, and whose deeds are done in a dark place. And they say, "Who sees us?" or "Who knows us?" You turn things around. Shall the potter be considered as equal with the clay, that what is made would say to its maker, "He did not make me"? Or what is formed say to him who formed it, "He has no understanding"? Is it not yet just a little while before Lebanon will be turned into a fruitful orchard, and the fruitful orchard will be counted as a forest? On that day the deaf will hear words of a book, and out of darkness and thick darkness the eyes of the blind will see. The afflicted also will increase their gladness in Yahweh, and the needy of mankind will rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. For the ruthless will come to an end, and the scoffer will be finished. Indeed, all who are watching out to do evil will be cut off, who cause a person to sin by a word, and ensnare him who reproves at the gate, and defraud the one in the right with meaningless arguments. Therefore thus says Yahweh, who redeemed Abraham, concerning the house of Jacob: Jacob shall not now be ashamed, and now his face shall not turn pale. But when he sees his children, the work of my hands, in his midst, they will sanctify my name. Indeed, they will sanctify the Holy One of Jacob, and will stand trembling before the God of Israel. Those who err in spirit will know discernment, and those who criticize will gain learning. Isaiah chapter 30. Woe to the rebellious children, declares Yahweh, who execute counsel but not mine, and make an alliance but not of my spirit, in order to add sin to sin, who go down to Egypt, but did not ask me, to find strength in the strong defense of Pharaoh, and to take refuge in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore the strong defense of Pharaoh will be your shame, and the refuge in the shadow of Egypt your dishonor. For their princes are at Zoan, and their messengers reach Hanes. Every one will be ashamed because of a people who cannot profit them, who are not for help or profit, but for shame and also for reproach. The oracle concerning the beasts of the Negev. Through a land of distress and anguish, from where come lioness and lion, viper and flying fiery serpent, they carry their wealth on the backs of young donkeys, and their treasures on camels' humps, to a people who cannot profit them, even Egypt, whose help is vain and empty. Therefore I have called her Rahab, who has ceased. Now go, write it on a tablet before them, and inscribe it on a scroll, that it may be in the time to come, as a witness forever. For this is a rebellious people, false sons, sons who are not willing to listen to the law of Yahweh, who say to the seers, "You must not see," and to those who have visions, "You must not behold visions for us of what is right. Speak to us pleasant words. Behold visions of illusions. Get out of the way. Turn aside from the path. Cease speaking before us about the Holy One of Israel." Therefore thus says the Holy One of Israel, since you have rejected this word, and have put your trust in oppression and deviousness, and have relied on them, therefore this iniquity will be to you like a breach about to fall, a bulge in a high wall, whose breaking comes suddenly in an instant, whose breaking is like the breaking of a potter's jar, so ruthlessly shattered that a potsherd will not be found among its pieces, to take fire from a hearth, or to scoop water from a cistern. For thus Lord Yahweh, the Holy One of Israel, has said, "In repentance and rest you will be saved. In quietness and trust is your might. But you were not willing, and you said, 'No, for we will flee on horses.' Therefore you shall flee. And we will ride on swift horses. Therefore those who pursue you shall be swift. 1,000 will flee at the threat of one man. You will flee at the threat of 5, until you are left as a flag on a mountain top, and as a standard on a hill. Therefore Yahweh waits with longing to be gracious to you, and therefore he is on high to have compassion on you, for Yahweh is a God of justice. How blessed are all those who wait for him. O people in Zion, inhabitant in Jerusalem, you will weep no longer. He will surely be gracious to you at the sound of your cry. When he hears it, he will answer you. The Lord has given you bread of distress and water of oppression. He, your teacher, will no longer hide himself, but your eyes will see your teacher, and your ears will hear a word behind you. This is the way, walk in it, whenever you turn to the right or to the left. And you will defile your graven images overlaid with your silver, and your molten images plated with your gold. You will scatter them as an impure thing, and say to them, "Begone." Then he will give you rain for the seed which you will sow in the ground, and bread from the produce of the ground, and it will be rich and fat. On that day your livestock will graze in a roomy pasture. Also the oxen and the donkeys which work the ground will eat salted fodder, which has been winnowed with shovel and fork. And it will be that on every lofty mountain and on every lifted-up hill there will be streams running with water on the day of the great slaughter, when the towers fall. And the light of the moon will be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun will be 7 times brighter, like the light of 7 days, on the day Yahweh binds up the fracture of his people and heals the bruise he has inflicted. Behold, the name of Yahweh comes from afar. Burning is his anger, and heavy is his smoke. His lips are filled with indignation, and his tongue is like a consuming fire. His breath is like an overflowing torrent, which reaches to the neck, to shake the nations back and forth in a sieve of worthlessness, and to put in the jaws of the peoples the bridle which staggers one to ruin. You will have songs as in the night, when you set yourself apart as holy for the festival, and gladness of heart as when one marches to the sound of the flute, to go to the mountain of Yahweh, to the rock of Israel. And Yahweh will cause his splendid voice to be heard, and the descending of his arm to be seen in raging anger, and in the flame of a consuming fire, in cloudburst, downpour, and hailstones. For at the voice of Yahweh Assyria will be dismayed, when he strikes with the rod. And every blow of the appointed staff, which Yahweh will cause to rest upon him, will be with the music of tambourines and lyres. And in battles, waving weapons, he will fight them. For Topheth has long been ready. Indeed, it has been prepared for the king. He has made it deep and large, a pyre of fire with plenty of wood. The breath of Yahweh, like a torrent of brimstone, sets it afire. Isaiah chapter 31. Woe to those who go down to Egypt for help, and rely on horses, and trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very mighty. But they do not regard at the Holy One of Israel, nor seek Yahweh. Yet he also is wise, and will bring about an evil demise, and does not turn his words aside, but will arise against the house of evildoers, and against the help of the workers of iniquity. Now the Egyptians are men and not God, and their horses are flesh and not spirit. So Yahweh will stretch out his hand, and he who helps will stumble, and he who is helped will fall, and all of them will come to an end together. For thus says Yahweh to me, as the lion or the young lion growls over its prey, against which a multitude of shepherds is called out, and it will not be dismayed at their voice nor afflicted at their noise, so will Yahweh of hosts come down to wage war on Mount Zion and on its hill. Like flying birds, so Yahweh of hosts will defend Jerusalem. He will defend and deliver it. He will pass over and provide a way of escape. Return to him, against whom you have deeply rebelled, O sons of Israel. For in that day every man will reject his silver idols and his gold idols, which your hands have made for you as a sin. And the Assyrian will fall by a sword not of man, and a sword not of man will devour him. So he will flee from the sword, and his choice men will become forced laborers. His rock will pass away because of terror, and his princes will be dismayed at the standard, declares Yahweh, whose fire is in Zion and whose furnace is in Jerusalem. Isaiah chapter 32. Behold, a king will reign righteously, and princes will rule justly. Each will be like a refuge from the wind, and a shelter from the storm, like streams of water in a dry country, like the shade of a huge rock in a weary land. Then the eyes of those who see will not be blinded, and the ears of those who hear will pay attention. And the heart of the hasty will discern knowledge, and the tongue of the stammerers will hasten to speak clearly. No longer will the wicked fool be called noble, or the rogue be spoken of as generous. For a wicked fool speaks wicked folly, and his heart does wickedness, to do ungodliness and to speak error against Yahweh, in order to make the hungry person empty. He even causes the thirsty to lack a drink. As for a rogue, his weapons are evil, his counsels wicked schemes, to wreak destruction on the afflicted with lying words, even though the needy one speaks justly. But the noble man counsels noble plans, and by noble plans he rises up. Rise up, you women who are at ease, and hear my voice. Give ear to my word, you complacent daughters. Within a year and a few days you will quake, O complacent daughters. For the grape harvest is ended, and the fruit gathering will not come. Tremble, you women who are at ease. Quake, you complacent daughters. Strip, undress, and put sackcloth on your waist. Beat your breasts for the desirable fields, for the fruitful vine, for the land of my people in which thorns and briars shall come up, indeed against all the joyful houses and the exultant city. Because the palace has been abandoned, the populated city forsaken, hill and watchtower have become caves forever. A joy for wild donkeys, a pasture for flocks, until the Spirit is poured out upon us from on high, and the wilderness becomes a fruitful orchard, and the fruitful orchard is counted as a forest. Then justice will dwell in the wilderness, and righteousness will live in the fruitful orchard. And the work of righteousness will be peace, and the service of righteousness, quietness, and security forever. Then my people will live in a peaceful abode, and in secure dwellings, and in undisturbed resting places. And it will hail when the forest comes down, and the city will be utterly laid low. How blessed will you be, you who sow beside all waters, who let out freely the ox and the donkey. Isaiah chapter 33. Woe to you, O destroyer, while you were not destroyed, and he who is treacherous, while others did not deal treacherously with him. As soon as you finish destroying, you will be destroyed. As soon as you cease to deal treacherously, others will deal treacherously with you. O Yahweh, be gracious to us. We have hoped in you. Be their strength every morning, our salvation also in the time of distress. At the sound of the tumult peoples flee. At the lifting up of yourself nations scatter. Your spoil is gathered as the caterpillar gathers. As locusts rushing about, men rush about on it. Yahweh is exalted, for he dwells on high. He has filled Zion with justice and righteousness, and he will be the stability of your times, a wealth of salvation, wisdom, and knowledge. The fear of Yahweh is his treasure. Behold, their brave men cry in the streets, the messengers of peace weep bitterly. The highways are desolate, the traveler has ceased. He has broken the covenant, he has rejected the cities, he has no regard for man. The land mourns and languishes. Lebanon is humiliated and withers. Sharon is like a desert plain, and Bashan and Carmel lose their foliage. Now I will be on high, says Yahweh. Now I will be lifted up. Now I will be lifted up. You have conceived chaff. You will give birth to stubble. My breath will consume you like a fire. The peoples will be burned to lime, like cut thorns which are burned in the fire. You who are far away, hear what I have done, and you who are near, acknowledge my might. Sinners in Zion are in dread. Trembling has seized the godless. Who among us can sojourn with the consuming fire? Who among us can sojourn with continual burning? He who walks righteously and speaks uprightly, he who rejects greedy gain of oppression and shakes his hands so that they hold no bribe. He who stops his ears from hearing about bloodshed and shuts his eyes from looking upon evil. He will dwell on the heights. His refuge will be the strongholds of the cliffs. His bread will be given him. His water will be sure. Your eyes will behold the king in his beauty. They will see a far distant land. Your heart will meditate on terror. Where is he who counts? Where is he who weighs? Where is he who counts the towers? You will no longer see a fierce people, a people of unintelligible speech, which no one comprehends, of a stammering tongue, which no one understands. Behold Zion, the city of our appointed times. Your eyes will see Jerusalem, an abode at ease, a tent which will not be folded. Its stakes will never be pulled up, nor any of its cords ever to be torn apart. But there the Mighty One, Yahweh, will be for us, a place of rivers and wide canals, on which no boat with oars will go, and on which no mighty ship will pass. For Yahweh is our judge, Yahweh is our lawgiver, Yahweh is our king. He will save us. Your cords hang slack. They cannot hold the base of their mast firmly, nor spread out the sail. Then the prey of an abundant spoil will be divided. The lame will take the plunder, and no one who dwells there will say, I am sick. The people who inhabit there will be forgiven their iniquity. Isaiah chapter 34. Draw near, O nations, to hear, and pay attention, O peoples. Let the earth hear, as well as its fullness, the world and all that springs from it. For the indignation of Yahweh is against all the nations, and his wrath against all their hosts. He has devoted them to destruction. He has given them over to slaughter. So their slain will be cast out, and their corpses will give off their stench. And the mountains will be drenched with their blood, and all the host of heaven will rot away, and the sky will be rolled up like a scroll. All their hosts will also wither away, as a leaf withers from the vine, or as one withers from the fig tree. For my sword is satiated in heaven. Behold, it shall descend for judgment upon Edom, and upon the people whom I have devoted to destruction. The sword of Yahweh is filled with blood. It is satted with fat, with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For Yahweh has a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Edom. And wild oxen will also fall with them, and young bulls with strong ones. Thus their land will be soaked with blood, and their dust become greasy with fat. For Yahweh has a day of vengeance, a year of recompense for the cause of Zion. And its streams will be turned into pitch, and its dust into brimstone, and its land will become burning pitch. It will not be quenched night or day. Its smoke will go up forever. From generation to generation it will be laid waste. None will pass through it forever and ever. But pelican and hedgehog will possess it, and owl and raven will dwell in it. And he will stretch over it the line of utter formlessness, and the plumb line of utter void. Its nobles there is no one there, whom they may proclaim king, and all its princes will be non-existent. And thorns will come up in its fortified towers, weeds and thistles in its fortified cities. It will also be a haunt of jackals, and an abode of ostriches. And the desert creatures will meet with the wolves. The hairy goat also will cry to its kind. Surely the night creature will obtain relief there, and will find itself a resting place. The owl will make its nest and find its escape there, and it will hatch its eggs and gather them in its shade. Surely the falcons will be gathered there, every one with its kind. Seek from the book of Yahweh and read. Not one of these will be missing, none will lack its mate. For his mouth has commanded, and his spirit has gathered them. He has cast the lot for them, and his hand has divided it to them by line. They shall possess it forever. From generation to generation they will dwell in it. Isaiah chapter 35. The wilderness and the desert will be delighted, and the Arabah will rejoice and flourish. Like the crocus, it will flourish profusely, and rejoice with rejoicing and shout of joy. The glory of Lebanon will be given to it, the majesty of Carmel and Sharon. They will see the glory of Yahweh, the majesty of our God. Strengthen limp hands, and give courage to the knees of the stumbling. Say to those with an anxious heart, Be strong, fear not. Behold, your God will come with vengeance. The recompense of God will come, but he will save you. Then the eyes of the blind will be opened, and the ears of the deaf will be unstopped. Then the lame will leap like a deer, and the tongue of the mute will shout for joy. For waters will break forth in the wilderness, and streams in the Arabah. Then the scorched land will become a pool, and the thirsty ground springs of water. In the haunt of jackals, its resting place, grass becomes reeds and rushes. And a roadway will be there, a highway, and it will be called the highway of holiness. The unclean will not pass by on it, but it will be for him who walks in that way, and ignorant fools will not wander on it. No lion will be there, nor will any vicious beast go up on it. These will not be found there. But the redeemed will walk there, and the ransomed of Yahweh will return, and come with joyful shouting to Zion, with everlasting gladness upon their heads. They will attain delight and gladness, and sorrow and sighing will flee away. Isaiah chapter 36. Now it happened in the 14th year of King Hezekiah, that Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came up against all the fortified cities of Judah, and seized them. And the king of Assyria sent Rabshakeh from Lachish to Jerusalem to King Hezekiah, with a heavy military force. And he stood by the conduit of the upper pool on the highway of the fuller's field. Then Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph, the recorder, came out to him. Then Rabshakeh said to them, Say now to Hezekiah, Thus says the great king, the king of Assyria, What is this trust that you have? I say, your counsel and might for the war are only empty words. Now in whom do you trust, that you have rebelled against me? Behold, you trust in the staff of this crushed reed, even on Egypt, on which if a man leans, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh king of Egypt to all who trust in him. But if you say to me, We trust in Yahweh our God, is it not he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah has taken away, and has said to Judah and to Jerusalem, You shall worship before this altar? So now, come, make a bargain with my master, the king of Assyria, and I will give you 2,000 horses, if you are able on your part to give riders for them. How then can you turn away one official of the least of my master's servants, and trust in Egypt for chariots and for horsemen? So now, have I come up without the approval of Yahweh against this land to make it a ruin? Yahweh said to me, Go up against this land and make it a ruin. Then Eliakim and Shebna and Joah said to Rabshakeh, Speak now to your servants in Aramaic, for we understand it, and do not speak with us in Judean in the hearing of the people who are on the wall. But Rabshakeh said, Has my master sent me only to your master and to you to speak these words, and not to the men who sit on the wall, doomed to eat their own dung and drink their own urine with you? Then Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in Judean and said, Hear the words of the great king, the king of Assyria. Thus says the king, Do not let Hezekiah deceive you, for he will not be able to deliver you. And do not let Hezekiah make you trust in Yahweh, saying, Yahweh will surely deliver us. This city will not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Do not listen to Hezekiah, for thus says the king of Assyria, Make your peace with me, and come out to me, and eat each of his vine, and each of his fig tree, and drink each of the waters of his own cistern, until I come and take you away to a land like your own land, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards. Beware lest Hezekiah mislead you, saying, Yahweh will deliver us. Has any one of the gods of the nations delivered his land from the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim? And when have they delivered Samaria from my hand? Who among all the gods of these lands have delivered their land from my hand, that Yahweh would deliver Jerusalem from my hand? But they were silent and answered him not a word, for the king's commandment was, Do not answer him. Then Eliakim the son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph the recorder, came to Hezekiah with their clothes torn, and told him the words of Rabshakeh. Isaiah chapter 37. Now it happened that when King Hezekiah heard it, he tore his clothes, covered himself with sackcloth, and entered the house of Yahweh. Then he sent Eliakim, who was over the household, with Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests, covered with sackcloth, to Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amoz. And they said to him, Thus says Hezekiah, This day is a day of distress, reproof, and rejection. For children have come to the point of breaking forth, but there is no strength to give birth. Perhaps Yahweh your God will hear the words of Rabshakeh, whom his master the king of Assyria has sent to reproach the living God, and will reprove the words which Yahweh your God has heard. Therefore lift up a prayer for the remnant that is left. So the servants of King Hezekiah came to Isaiah, and Isaiah said to them, Thus you shall say to your master, Thus says Yahweh, Do not be afraid because of the words that you have heard, with which the young men of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. Behold, I will put a spirit in him, so that he will hear a report and return to his own land, and I will make him fall by the sword in his own land. Then Rabshakeh returned and found the king of Assyria fighting against Libnah, for he had heard that the king had set out from Lachish. Then he heard them saying concerning Tirhakah, king of Ethiopia, He has come out to fight against you. So he heard it, and sent messengers to Hezekiah, saying, Thus you shall say to Hezekiah, king of Judah, Do not let your God in whom you trust deceive you, saying, Jerusalem will not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Behold, you have heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all the lands, devoting them to destruction. So will you be delivered? Did the gods of those nations, which my fathers have brought to ruin, deliver them, even Gozan and Haran and Rezeph, and the sons of Eden, who were in Telassar? Where is the king of Hamath, the king of Arpad, the king of the city of Sepharvaim, and of Hena and Ivah? Then Hezekiah took the letter from the hand of the messengers and read it. And he went up to the house of Yahweh and spread it out before Yahweh. And Hezekiah prayed to Yahweh, saying, O Yahweh of hosts, the God of Israel, who is enthroned above the cherubim, you are the God, you alone, of all the kingdoms of the earth. You have made heaven and earth. Incline your ear, O Yahweh, and hear. Open your eyes, O Yahweh, and see, and listen to all the words of Sennacherib, who sent them to reproach the living God. Truly, O Yahweh, the kings of Assyria have laid waste to all the countries and their lands, and have cast their gods into the fire. For they were not gods, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone. So they have destroyed them. But now, O Yahweh our God, save us from his hand, that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that you are Yahweh, you alone. Then Isaiah the son of Amoz sent word to Hezekiah, saying, Thus says Yahweh, the God of Israel, Because you have prayed to me about Sennacherib king of Assyria, this is the word that Yahweh has spoken against him. She has despised you and mocked you, the virgin daughter of Zion. She has shaken her head behind you, the daughter of Jerusalem. Whom have you reproached and blasphemed? And against whom have you heightened your voice, and haughtily lifted up your eyes? Against the Holy One of Israel. Through your servants you have reproached the Lord, and you have said, With my many chariots I came up to the heights of the mountains, to the remotest parts of Lebanon, and I cut down its tall cedars and its choice cypresses, and I will go to its highest peak, its thickest forest. I dug wells and drank waters, and with the sole of my feet I dried up all the rivers of Egypt. Have you not heard? Long ago I did it. From days of old I formed it. Now I have brought it to pass, that you should devastate fortified cities into ruinous heaps. So their inhabitants were short of power. They were dismayed and put to shame. They were as the plant of the field and as the green herb, as grass on the rooftops is scorched before it rises. But I know you're sitting down, and you're going out, and you're coming in, and you're raging against me. Because of your raging against me, and because your presumptuousness has come up to my ears. Therefore I will put my hook in your nose, and my bridle in your lips, and I will turn you back by the way which you came. Then this shall be the sign for you. You will eat this year what grows of its own accord, in the second year what springs from the same, and in the third year sow, reap, plant vineyards, and eat their fruit. And the surviving remnant of the house of Judah will again take root downward and bear fruit upward. For out of Jerusalem will go forth a remnant, and out of Mount Zion survivors. The zeal of Yahweh of hosts will do this. Therefore, thus says Yahweh concerning the king of Assyria, he will not come to this city, or shoot an arrow there, and he will not come before it with a shield, or throw up a siege ramp against it. By the way that he came, by the same he will return, and he will not come to this city, declares Yahweh. Indeed, I will defend this city to save it for my own sake, and for my servant David's sake. Then the angel of Yahweh went out and struck 185,000 in the camp of the Assyrians. And the men arose early in the morning, and behold, all of them were dead bodies. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, set out and returned home, and lived in Nineveh. Now it happened that as he was worshipping in the house of Nisroch his god, Adramelech and Sharezer his sons struck him down with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Ararat. And Esarhaddon his son became king in his place. Isaiah chapter 38. In those days Hezekiah became ill to the point of death, and Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amoz, came to him and said to him, Thus says Yahweh, Set your house in order, for you shall die and not live. Then Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and prayed to Yahweh, and said, Remember now, O Yahweh, I beseech you, how I have walked before you in truth and with a whole heart, and have done what is good in your sight. And Hezekiah wept greatly. Then the word of Yahweh came to Isaiah, saying, Go and say to Hezekiah, Thus says Yahweh, the God of your father David, I have heard your prayer, I have seen your tears. Behold, I will add 15 years to your life. And I will deliver you and this city from the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend this city. Now this shall be the sign to you from Yahweh, that Yahweh will do this word that he has spoken. Behold, I will cause the shadow on the stairway, which has gone down with the sun on the stairway of Ahaz, to go back 10 steps. So the sun's shadow went back 10 steps on the stairway on which it had gone down. A writing of Hezekiah king of Judah after his illness and recovery. I said, In the middle of my life I am to enter the gates of Sheol. I am to be deprived of the rest of my years. I said, I will not see Yah in the land of the living. I will look on man no more among the inhabitants of the world. Like a shepherd's tent, my dwelling is pulled up and removed from me. As a weaver I rolled up my life. He cuts me off from the loom. From day until night you make an end of me. I soothed my soul until morning. like a lion. So he shatters all my bones. From day until night you make an end of me. Like a swallow, like a crane, so I chirped. I moan like a dove. My eyes look wistfully to the heights. O Lord, I am oppressed. Be my security. What shall I say? Indeed, he has spoken to me, and he himself has done it. I will wander about all my years because of the bitterness of my soul. O Lord, by these things men live, and in all these is the life of my spirit. O restore me to health and let me live. Behold, for my own well-being I had great bitterness, but it is you who has held back my soul from the pit of nothingness. For you have cast all my sins behind your back. For Sheol cannot thank you, death cannot praise you. Those who go down to the pit cannot keep watch for your truth. It is the living, who give thanks to you, as I do today. A father makes known to his sons about your truth. Yahweh is here to save me, so we will play my songs on stringed instruments all the days of our life at the house of Yahweh. Now Isaiah had said, Let them take up a cake of figs and apply it to the boil, that he may live. Then Hezekiah had said, What is the sign that I shall go up to the house of Yahweh? Isaiah chapter 39. At that time Merodach-Baladan, son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent letters and a present to Hezekiah, for he heard that he had been sick and was growing stronger. And Hezekiah was glad about these things, and showed them all his treasure house, the silver and the gold and the spices, and the good oil, and his whole armory, and all that was found in his treasuries. There was nothing in his house, nor in all his dominion, that Hezekiah did not show them. Then Isaiah the prophet came to King Hezekiah, and said to him, What did these men say, and from where have they come to you? And Hezekiah said, They have come to me from a far country, from Babylon. And he said, What have they seen in your house? So Hezekiah said, They have seen all that is in my house. There is nothing among my treasures that I have not shown them. Then Isaiah said to Hezekiah, Hear the word of Yahweh of hosts. Behold, the days are coming when all that is in your house and all that your fathers have treasured up to this day will be carried to Babylon. Nothing will be left, says Yahweh. And some of your sons, who will issue from you, whom you will beget, will be taken away, and they will become officials in the palace of the king of Babylon. Then Hezekiah said to Isaiah, The word of Yahweh which you have spoken is good. For he said, For there will be peace and truth in my days.